Mary the Avon lady here, and in this video I want to talk to you really quickly about some ideas that I have for decorating your home on a budget, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on buying artwork or original works of art. If you want to hang some pictures up to decorate your home, and so that your walls won't look so bare, you can hang some nice pictures up. So everybody has their own taste, their own likes and dislikes, and for those of you who are familiar with my channel, you know that I'm an Avon, a licensed real estate agent in Georgia, but I do sell Avon as well, and I really love it. So I collect vintage Avon things, and I just happened to find this ad on eBay, which is Etsy actually in this case. Sometimes I find things on eBay as well. But those are the two main places that you want to look if you're into this kind of thing. They're a great source for this. And if you happen to look one day and you don't see anything that you like, you can always check back a few days later, a week later, a month later, and you might see the perfect thing for you. So I recently had my walls painted in my master bathroom, primary bathroom, and walk-in closet to a nice coral color, which is like a coral pink, and I just love the color. And I thought that this picture would just look really fabulous on my wall. Now the only thing is that it doesn't fit perfectly into this 11 by 17, and it almost does. I just put it, you can see how it looks, but I need to get a mat to go behind it. There is a mat, but this is not the mat that I want to use, because this one has a big rectangle cut out of it, because it was the mat that originally came with this frame. So there's a big opening in the back, and I'm not going to tape this picture to that. I'm going to buy a different mat and somehow adhere this. Probably going to use our archival tape to tape it to a different mat board, and then I'm going to frame it. But I just put in this frame just so that you can see how it looks, and I got this frame off of Amazon. It was a great deal. This is black, by the way. It comes with sort of an off-white mat, and I'm going to use those what do you call them, those strips, command strips, they seem to work fine for what I use them for. I wouldn't hang anything really heavy using those, but for these pictures I think they're fine. I've already used them to hang one picture in my bedroom. It's a vintage Avon ad, and I haven't had any issues with that. It's been a year, it hasn't fallen off, so it seems to be just fine. I would just follow the instructions very closely. So I really, really love this ad. I just love the colors. It goes really well with the paint that I have chosen to do my bathroom in. And these ads are just great for decorating one's home. I mean, if you're into this kind of thing. Not everybody is, but for those of you who like this kind of retro, mid-century artwork, Avon just produced some really, really gorgeous ads back in the day. And by the way, it's not just Avon ads. You can find ads for a lot of different things on Etsy and eBay, different, makeup, cosmetic companies like Max Factor and Coty, C-O-T-Y, Coty. Different ones. It doesn't have to be Avon. Whatever you like. You could find vintage recipe ads, like for Jello pudding. They have plenty of those, and just anything that you can imagine. Okay, this one doesn't have anything to do with Avon, but I found this one on eBay, and it's probably one of a kind at this point. This is for a line of how do you say it, like a beauty. I don't know, beauty products for teenage girls. It's called Young and Free, and of course, the look at those funky bottles. That's very much of that time, of that era, that the 1969, 1970. That's what that looks like. The style of clothing that she's wearing. I just really like this. I didn't do a really great job of putting it in the frame. I was just experimenting with it. I mean, it's okay. I'll probably hang this in my bedroom somewhere. It's just showing like a young girl who is transitioning from like a tomboy to like a young lady. She's wearing jeans, but she's trying on a mini dress. The style was very popular back then, late 60s, early 70s. It's like a lace, and it's a drop waist style. And of course she's got those sleeves, and she's admiring herself in the mirror. You can see the mirror there. It's like a full-length mirror that she's looking into. So yeah, they didn't make this line of products for very long. So that's what I mean when I said that it's probably one of a kind now. It's probably the only one out there available. And of course, none of you have ever heard of it, but that's no big deal. I've never heard of it either until I found it on eBay, and I just liked it because it's from this era. But what I've done here is I just taped it to the mat. It's not perfect, but it's okay. I used this frame that I got at TJ Maxx actually for about $10. TJ Maxx is another good place, or I'm sorry, it's actually Marshall's, but TJ Maxx, Marshall's, those are a good place to look for, you know, items that are at a reduced price. Sometimes you can get lucky and find some really nice things there. And I used this mat that I found at Hobby Lobby that has like a gold, you know, it's a gold frame around it, which I think, you know, goes well with a picture. So that's an idea. You can find these old ads on eBay or Etsy for about $10. Sometimes they're a little bit more than that. Sometimes maybe just a little bit less. Sometimes you can bargain with the shop owner. You know, sometimes they'll have like a best offer, and you can offer a little bit less than what they're asking and see if they will accept it. And the frames I mentioned, I found some at like Marshall's or TJ Maxx for about $10. I think I found this one at CVS or Walgreens for about $10. This is an 8x10. And I found some on Amazon for about $12 or so. So they're not expensive. I mean, these are not real wood, but that's okay. They look great. That's black that I showed you. This is brown. I felt like brown matched this picture better because, you know, there's brown here in the photo, and I just kind of liked it with brown. So this is something that I found on Etsy. This is it's a modern print, but it's a retro design, you know, 1970s, early 70s, late 60s kind of design, and I just loved it. I can't remember the name of the shop owner, but I can post a link down below if somebody wants to, you know, somebody asks me. I can post it down in the comment section. She's got all kinds, or she's got all kinds of cool things. So I really love this style. And I don't really believe in following current trends because styles just come and go and they repeat themselves. And I don't believe it's just worth it to keep up. I believe that your home is your castle and you should decorate it, you know, in the way that you want to, whatever makes you happy. I mean, I think it's a big headache to try to follow the current trends. So your style, the style that you decorate in should reflect your personality. And I love warm colors, and I love, you know, bright colors. And I really love this bohemian theme. And I also love, you know, things from like, you know, the mid-20th century, the 1950s, the 1960s. So that's what I've chosen to do here. Now that's not to say that I don't like original works of art. I do, and I do draw and paint myself, and you know, I'm just getting started decorating, so I do plan to hang some of my own artwork up one day. Okay, so this is a picture frame, 8x10. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. 8x10. I'm using my arts and crafts table here. So I'm going to take the back off. I'm going to take the little that they have here. Oops. I would usually clean the glass before I was going to hang it, you know, before I insert the artwork into the frame. I would just clean it with Windex to make sure it doesn't have any fingerprints. But for this video, I'm not going to worry about that because this is not going to be the final, the final result. I mean, I'm just doing this only to show you guys what I mean as an example. Okay, let me find one that is not taped in there real good, just for the video. Okay, so here we go. This is actually, I don't exclusively collect, you know, only Avon things. This is an ad from the 1950s. It's called Viv, You guys can't really see it that well. And it doesn't fit into this frame perfectly, almost. There's just a little bit of an overlap. So I would have to trim off some of this edge here to make it fit. And I need to measure exactly how much I need to trim. And I'm gonna use my cutting board, which is what you see here, and my knife. You know, I used to be really big into sewing a few years ago, but I haven't had time to sew lately. So the last time I sewed my daughter a dress was probably in the fall of 2020, because I was planning on doing a lot during the COVID pandemic. Had a lot of time on my hands back then, so I did some sewing, but that was the last year that I've done it. So it's been 3 years actually since I sewed anything. I don't know if my knife is still sharp or not, but anyway, I would use a straight edge, a T-square, to trim some of this off. Okay, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing or not. Let me put my microphone on so you guys can hear me, hopefully. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing or not, but I'm going to just trim off like 1/8 of an inch, just very, very little to start off with. And I'm holding this steady. You don't want it to move around. You don't want to jerk. You don't want to mess up your artwork. So I just cut off a little sliver, and I'm going to keep cutting off a little at a time until I get it to fit into the frame. Okay, it's still a little bit too much. I'm going to cut off another 1/8, and then some is going to have to come off on the top and the bottom as well. So there's more space over here, so I'm going to use that side to cut off some more. I mean, there's more of a border on one side of it than the other. It's not equal. That's probably where the seam was for the magazine. I really love these ads because they preserve the past, you know, so that younger generations know what it was like to live a long time ago. And just some things have just changed about our world. Like, we don't really have periodicals anymore. Not so much, because everybody, you know, gets their news on the internet and they do their shopping on the internet. There's really no need for magazines and catalogs as much. I remember when I was younger, I mean, not so long ago, you would go into like a doctor's office or a dentist's office, and there would be all kinds of magazines laying around for people to look through. But you don't see that anymore. Even then it kind of moved just a little bit, but it's okay, it's even. Just want to be careful for that. Don't try to keep your hands still. Okay, that is better. I mean, that's almost perfect. I think a little bit could come off the side, but let me take some off the top and the bottom. Just like a little tiny sliver to start off with. When I first learned how to use this kind of knife, I didn't like it, but I got used to it. I mean, like little tiny sliver. You want it to be even on both the top and the bottom. You don't want to take too much off the top or too much off the bottom. It's going to look funny. It's not going to be centered just right. I'm going to turn it over and take another little sliver off. And you know, it may not be exactly perfect, but it's going to be close enough. Nobody will ever know the difference. Just want to try to get it as perfect as you can. Okay. Almost there. It needs a little bit more. Okay, you know what, I'm not really Use a little bit more off the top and the bottom. Let me see. But how much more? Could I trim off the white edge? Would that do it? I think so. Should have realized that before. There may be a more efficient way of doing this, and if you know that you can do it a better way, then please, by all means, go ahead. I'm just trying to give people ideas about how they can decorate their homes on, you know, for not a lot of money, and it's just a fun, trendy, yeah, I'm using the word trendy. It is kind of trendy right now, but for me, it'll never go out of style. You know, it may go out of style for some people, but I'll always like, oops, I will always like this. Okay, I kind of need to trim off a little bit more because I did it uneven. Okay, let's do the top. Give it a tiny sliver to make it even. Okay. All right, even I make little mistakes, and this is nothing major. I'm just going to fix it right there. Okay, there we go. Okay, now comes the part that's a little bit trickier. I'm going to try not to bend my artwork up too much. Don't want to get little creases in it. I did that with the first one that I showed you. I was a little bit over anxious to get that one in a frame and see how it looked. But I mean, it's not bad. It's just not as perfect as I would like for it to be. All right, so I'm gonna take off a little tiny sliver of this one. I really need to trim both sides, but I'm just gonna see how it fits here. Okay, it fits now. I'm not going to take off any more off the sides. Okay, but it's still not. Some of it needs to come off the bottom still, and this kind of presents a little bit of a problem because I've already trimmed off the white edges off the top and the bottom. I don't want to trim off any more of her head, so I'm going to have to. Someone's going to have to come off the bottom. I mean, I didn't trim off any of her head, but you know what I mean. The picture cut off the top of her head a little bit. I mean, that's just the way that it was cropped. But I don't want to take off any more of her head because that is going to look very funny. Okay. So let me try to just take off a little sliver off of the bottom. Let's see how that works. So hopefully you get the idea. I realize now that I'm taking too long. Okay, just line it up real good here. Okay, that may not be enough. Okay, a little bit more. Hopefully this is the last time. I'm just doing this very, very carefully because I don't want to mess it up. Don't want to mess up my beautiful artwork and waste my money. No, no, no. I don't want to do that. One more little tiny sliver. I mean, like literally tiny, tiny, tiny. And it's gonna fit. Make sure that you line this up good, okay? Use the lines if you have this kind of cutting board. I would highly recommend getting one of these if you don't. if you're into arts and crafts, sewing, you really, really need to have this kind of thing. Because I don't know how you're going to cut anything without it. Mine just takes all kinds of abuse. There, perfect. It fits now. Let me show you guys, hold on. This is the final result, and I do like this pretty much. There's just one little thing that bothers me, but it's nothing major. You know, it has that white border on both the right and left side. So this is fine for right now. One day I may choose to take it out of this frame and, you know, put like a mat around it. This one is too big. In this case, I would have to, you know, get my own mat board, purchase my own mat board, and, you know, cut like a rectangle to size to have this picture fit into it. And you know, I could do it that way. That looks a little bit better and more professional. But you don't have to do that. Not everybody knows how to do this, and you can pay somebody to frame pictures, but it costs a lot of money. I think it's better to do it yourself if you can. You know, you can save a lot of money because it's really expensive to frame things, to have somebody do it for you. And it's not that hard. You just have to have patience, and you have to expect that maybe you're going to make mistakes in the beginning, especially because you don't know what you're doing, and you may have to go through a few mat boards before you get it right. It's not always easy to cut a perfect rectangle out of these. Okay, so if you don't want to go through all that, this is a good way. This is a good option. Just know that sometimes, you know, you may have to, you know, you may have this kind of result. Your pictures may not fit perfectly into the frame exactly the way you want them to, but it's fine for right now. And I have this other ad here. This is Viv, by the way. This is a lipstick that I think they came out in the 1950s, but I've never heard of it. Apparently they didn't make it for that long. You know, I just thought these were really cute, and I purchased 3 of them because they're all matching. She's got Viv. She's vivacious, I guess. Now this one doesn't really have the white border around it, so that's a good thing, but it may not fit perfectly into that 8x10 frame, and I may have to trim off some of the edges, and that worries me a little bit because I don't want to take off too much of the picture, because then that's not going to look good. In this case, having a, you know, a mat around it would probably be better. I'm not sure. You know, the beauty of this kind of artwork that I purchased off Etsy, this is modern, somebody made this, and it's printed out. They sent it to me rolled up, and it's beautiful. It fits into the frame perfectly. I don't need to worry about the mat or trimming it. It's just perfect. So that's the beauty of that. But with these older ads, they may not fit perfectly into frames, and you just have to learn how to deal with that. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. As I mentioned before, you know, when it comes to decorating, follow your heart. Don't follow the latest trends. I mean, if you're not sure how to do things like decorating, you really don't, you feel like you're just kind of clueless, you know, you can get, just look online at, what is it called, Pinterest, or you can look at decorating magazines or websites about decorating. If you're into, for example, you know, mid-century America decor, then, you know, you can just Google those search terms and just get some ideas. But I wouldn't follow the latest trends, because trends are always changing. If you really love something, go with that. If you like a bohemian hippie kind of look like I do, go with that. If you like mid-century American, go with that. If you like Victorian, if you like Art Deco, you know, if you like a rustic look, I mean, I like all of those looks actually. But I try to stick mostly with one theme, and not have like a bunch of, you know, you kind of want to be consistent though. You want to stick with one theme, but it's up to you. Like I said, go with your heart, whatever you like. Don't let people tell you what to do. If you like a certain color and other people say that they don't like it, just don't let other people run your life, so to speak. You know, do what you like. So this ad is too big for this frame, of course, because it's the same size as the other ones. The only thing is that it doesn't have a border around it, so that is a little bit of a problem. Let's see. going to have to trim some of it off, and I don't want to do that. So I may end up having to put this one into a bigger frame and putting a mat around it, as I mentioned. And if I'm going to put like a mat around it, I would preferably want one that has like a gold border, like I showed you guys earlier with another ad that I framed, because I think that would look better. But you know, I don't know how easy it's going to be to find something like that. Those are already pre-made, you know, that you would buy in Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Joann's. Or you can order them online from Amazon, but you may have to cut your own mat sometimes just to get like just to kind of customize it, just because it may not work with the ones that you can purchase in the stores, is what I'm trying to say. So you may find that those may not work and you have to make your own. So that makes it a little bit more complicated. I don't want to cut into this, you know, because there's really not much space here. There's just a little tiny amount that I could take off on the sides and on the top and the bottom. Let's see how this is going to work. There's a little thin white border strip here. See if I can cut that off. I don't want to cut too much into the picture. And try to make sure that it's even, the amount that you take off. You don't want to be uneven. I mean, all these ads are in good shape. This one's got little tiny holes in it, probably where the staples were. Just on the sides, though, they're in the border. I can trim those off. So a little bit more needs to be trimmed off. Turn it this way so I can see what I'm doing. I can see the picture. Line it up. I don't want to take off too much on this side where the lipstick is, because then that's not going to look good. This is, you know, important part of the ad, obviously, the lipstick and the word Viv. So you don't want to cut into that. It's going to look funny. So I took more off on this side here. And it still needs a little bit. Hang on. Some of these lines have been just kind of worn away because I've used this cutting board so much. I've had it for about, I don't know, many years. I'm not going to say how long. I've been sewing for a little over a decade, so I've had it for a while. But, you know, I don't want to part with it. I'm attached to it, no. We've been friends for a long time. All right, I'm afraid of cutting any more off. Okay, that's good. Now I've just got like too much to take off the bottom. That's the problem. That is the problem. It's not gonna work. Huh. Let's see, you know, I like this ad, but it's not my favorite one, I have to confess. Out of the three, I'm kind of going to use this one to practice on a little bit. Just see how it works. Okay, I'm getting ready to cut off another little tiny sliver. Okay. Nope, nope, it's not gonna work. Well, top of her head is already cut off a little bit anyway, so what if she moves, leaves this a little bit more? Right, no big deal. Okay, let's see here. We're just going to do it very conservatively. Take off a little bit at a time. If I lose this one, I can always buy another one. So I won't cry about it too much. Oh, okay, not vivacious. Vivacious, it means vivid. Viv for vivid. I was just reading the ad. Viv for vivid. Okay, please work this time. I don't want to take off too much. Yeah, it still needs to have some off. You know, my daughter's friends from school are gonna be like, what? When they come to our house and see all these retro ads on the walls. What is that? A little bit more. Aha. Yes. It fits now. Is it the best? It's okay. It's not bad. These frames are okay. The ones that I got from the pharmacy. They're not the best, but they're okay. And there you go. There's the end result. She's got Viv. There we go. Okay guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that it's helped you a little bit so that you understand just how easy it is, how economical it is to do this, and you can understand some of the options. And it's not going to always work out perfectly, but I hope that I helped you understand what you can do to make things work. Just let me kind of recap. You can put, you can trim these pictures to fit perfectly into the frame if they don't already fit into the frame. Or you can buy like a mat. So for example, this picture is about, what is it, 8 by 10, I think, and 8 by 11, something like that, 8 by 10, I think. You can purchase like a frame that is cut, that has a mat cut for that size picture. So the frame is probably going to be 11 by 17, but the mat itself will be cut for an 8 by 10 photo or 8 by 11, whatever. And you can do it that way if you prefer that. This is just easier because sometimes the pictures won't fit perfectly into the mat, or you're going to have to tape them. You might damage your picture if you don't know what you're doing. So this is just a really easy way of doing it. This is like a quick fix. And in this case, there's no border around it, which is fine. I don't necessarily need a border. If you want a border, purchase one with a mat, or cut your own mat if you can do that. I highly recommend buying a cutting board, a T-square, I've had this T-square probably since I was in college. Or I used to have, this is one of the cheap ones that I always got in college. Our professors told us not to buy this one because they're not the best, but they work for me. I use them for sewing and for artwork, and buy yourself a cutter like this. You can get that at Joann's or Hobby Lobby probably. And just experiment. This is not a big investment, so if you mess up one, no big deal. Don't cry over, no use crying over spilled milk. Just keep trying. Follow your heart. Do whatever you like. Have fun. That's my advice. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And please do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, because I do plan on uploading similar content in the future.